Welcome to Deep Thought. The rich shouldn't get comfortable. You know what? I'm looking at if anybody who has half a brain and they're paying attention to what's going on, the rich are getting richer. The rich are getting richer, and more people are falling out of the middle class. The ranks of the poor are increasing, right? And it's interesting because you do have some people on that other end of the spectrum, the more rich side. I mean, they behaving as if, hey, this is going to stay like this. I'd pop my brakes. I'd be very concerned. You know, Henry Ford, back when he was in business, Henry Ford actually paid his people enough money to afford his cars. I mean, he got criticism for it, but, you know, like I said, he was smart enough to know they had to make enough money to afford his products to keep him in business, right? Now, you have many people floating around universal basic income, right? And, you know, the number that usually gets thrown out is 1,000 per person or something. Though, in today's society, if you really going to do that, you would have to probably give them 2,000 to live. 1,000 might pay the rent in a very poor neighborhood. But I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into all of that, but just something else that might happen. See, understand something with the rich. They make their money, well, through high-end services, usually through passive income, income-producing assets. They get in trouble if the people at the bottom can't afford those things, even with something like a universal basic income, because one, you have the jobs disappearing. And if universal basic income is implemented, people are going to primarily spend it on rent and food and clothing. But I can see a possibility where it would still hurt some of the rich, even if that comes about, because I think people will start changing their lifestyles. Understand something. And I thought about that. You know, people who follow me for a long time know I always joke about having some moonshine, right? Which I actually did, but my source broke up from her boyfriend, and they got too many Confederate flags up where she was at. So I was just like, you know, that was a bad habit anyway. But on a more serious note, you have a lot of people, they're not really that much in the system anyway to contribute to it. See, understand something, right? In order for the rich to make money, there has to be consumption. People have to consume, because either through ownership of a business or through investments, right? Now, if you look at the retail apocalypse, you look at all these businesses going out. People own stock in these major companies that are going out of business. People own stock, and yeah, they can sell it and they can move it around and everything. But in order for them to make money off those investments, people have to buy the stuff. Even with real estate, like real estate is the number one thing to get rich by, right? And you got all these people taking seminars and stuff on how to flip houses. People got to be able to afford the houses. Y'all see where this coming from? See, if people got to get rich or stay rich, the people at the bottom has to be able to spend enough money, right? But they might not. Even with universal basic income, they might change up. Now, getting back to what I was saying about you know, my moonshiners and stuff, they were very much, other than some property, they were very much disconnected from the system. They didn't buy it. Like, all of their food, they got their food from hunting and fishing, like almost exclusively. I mean, and they had a little garden. It was just like, wait a minute, you got some people living off the grid, so to speak. Plus, you have, it's not talked about as much, but there's some people out there who are becoming minimalists, which means they don't consume as much. See, this system is based on sell. For those who remember back when George Bush II came into office, they gave this little $500 thing to everybody to stimulate the economy. I was just like, yeah, 500, because all of this is based on consumption. But what if you get to a point people stop consuming as much, or just consume their needs, or decide on some alternate things? I mean, I had a garden last time I had a house. You know, when I was married, we had a garden in the backyard. It actually grew some. We actually had some tomatoes and some cucumbers, and you get a lot of people they're gardening. You get some more urban farms, because people really spend. I mean, more so than anything else, people spend their money on food. So what if they start changing up? How does that affect, like, whoever owns like the grocery stores, or who got stock in those grocery stores? You see what I'm saying? I mean, they might not be that bad, but it has an effect, right? What if people stop, like during Christmas especially? That I'm gonna tell you what, the Christmas season is the biggest consumer season of all. If you go in any store, a lot of times they sell stuff strictly for gifts. And there's a lot of stuff with in the retail industry, or at least my part of it, they called tchotchke gifts. They were just some random bullshit threw together just to give to people. Usually cheap stuff. In fact, there's companies out there, they only make stuff during the Christmas season. But what if people just say, you know what, I don't really need this. I don't really need it. What if they just say, you know what, I'm gonna give my relatives a card. Right? That was now, it's not even so much jobs, but it's like people at the top, they get hit. Now it'll take a while before, you know, they ain't gonna like just go into poverty. But if you have a long enough period of where whatever their income producing asset isn't making money, guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen? And even the people in real estate. Say, real estate's good, I mean, for some basic thing, but if you can't sell the property, what good is it? What if good if you have $1 million property, nobody wants to buy it? And that's something that's very quiet as it's kept. When you get some millionaires, they got to liquidate some property or something, they might not buy it. And we know about property in the inner cities and stuff not moving, but sometimes these big expensive mansions don't go either, you know? So it's just like, wait a minute, because one thing, rich got to remember, they need people to make money. Now, you know, I'm doing pretty well for myself now. But I pay attention to all of this stuff because I'm in the back of my mind. I'm already thinking, all right, what can I get into that's going to make me, that people are going to want so badly, they still going to spend money on it. And trust me, I'm looking at stuff because I'm just saying, all right, what happens when people say, you know, we don't need books like you got, you know, because that's almost a luxury item. All right. I mean, you're going to get some people who need books like, who need to read information and stuff like people need food. That's true, but they don't always need your food. You know what I'm saying? Your mental food. So I'm just like, oh, man, I'm paying attention to this. I'm like, well, wait a minute. We need these other people to make money, or, you know, be able to consume enough so I can still make money. But if they start changing up, people say, you know what, we start going to grow food, or, you know what, we're not going to refinance our house. Or what if some of these colleges, which are becoming like gatekeepers for the elite, what if people say, you know what, I don't really need that. I don't really need to spend money. See, people think, oh, these people will just be poor and all of that, but they're going to survive. You have people of several generations who survived. You get some rural areas, or you get some people like my moonshiners. They like, as long as they got that property, and you might get some people who do that. They might put all their money into property and then be like, look, we put a garden back here. Well, shoot, we're gonna make these shoes last as long as possible. We're gonna get secondhand clothing, you know. And I could see a movement like that. That would ultimately affect the people at the top. And for people who talk about things like class warfare and stuff, it's like, shoot, stop feeding it. Stop feeding it. If you get people say, you know what, we don't need to go up to these fancy restaurants that charge They charge like $10 for what's basically a home burger. You could put the same burger together yourself, and some potatoes. I can grow the potatoes. I actually grew like some potatoes. Oh man, I've had an interesting life. But seriously, like, and I can see that. I can honestly see a movement like that occurring. Probably wouldn't come from me, because I'm actually a bougie motherfucker sometimes. So, yeah, I'd be surprised. I'm complicated. So, I'm very complicated. But I could see that happening. It's just a change in mindset. All of a sudden, the people don't be rich. See, the rich, they need people to still consume. They need to remember that. They need people to consume. They need people to still buy all of these clothes. Anybody who got stock in retail, they need them to buy. They still need them to buy, pay for some overpriced place if they're getting rents, or to live in buildings if they own the building, And they need people, people need to decide, small businesses that inhabit some of these little strip malls and something. They need them to still do all that. Right? So they shouldn't get comfortable. In fact, if they want their money flowing, they need to be really thinking about some things. Like this rush to automation. Yeah, they thinking about, we get all this money, but you put people out of jobs, all of a sudden you ain't gonna get it anyway. Because people might start saying, we don't need that. I mean, we seeing that with cars. I mean, I was thinking about it. I was looking at a car. Because at some point, I'm going to need to get a new car. But I'm like, do I get a late model car, or do I get one of these? Instead of say if I wanted to get a car tomorrow, do I get a 2018 car, or do I get one of those 2016 cars or 2015 cars that are probably less priced and still haven't been driven? That's how deep it is. If you just get a later, like an older model, like a couple years older, it's going to be way cheaper because they still got them on the lots. And in fact, I could get a 2018 for a used car price now anyway, because the cars ain't selling. And that comes down to gas. I was looking at gas prices. I was like, oh yeah, new car sales about to go down greatly. Shoot, I mean, you might get. I'm tell you what, you gonna get stuff like that. You're gonna get maybe mechanics, anybody who can keep something running. Oh well, they probably gonna make a little bit of money, but you're gonna get that. This whole system is based on consumption. The economy is based on consumption, and basically, well, really. And I need to do this for my business channel, but really it's based on two things, really debt and technology. And people get into debt because they just have to have like the latest shoes or whatever. And then or they use it, or they get into debt like paying for the latest iPhone when the iPhone before that was just as good. And I mean, and watch. Sometimes people say, I really don't need that. I don't need that. This all could change. People need to realize all it takes is that one person to say, hey, we don't need all of that. So, you know what? The rich shouldn't get comfortable. It really shouldn't, because I think there's going to be a change. There's going to be someone or a group of people who going to say, hey, you know what? We don't need all this. They already saying it, but one day somebody is going to be loud with it. So the rich who are making money off of this, don't get too comfortable with it. Shoot, you better put some money out there so people still want to consume. And like I say, they doing that. That's one of the main reasons they talking about, universal basic income. Though they had to put out enough, because trust me, they put out a little bit. Most people it's going to be eaten up by like just rents and stuff. So rents and food. So if you ain't in either one of those businesses, you might be in trouble. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.